Now to the matter at hand. My overcoat. Return it at once to someone with the style to carry it off.
Gah. I forgot. I gotta give me a second to worm my way into her.
Gotta get Cockney.
I know. Gotta get cockney with it. every movie makes, every breath he takes, I can't stop watching him. Every breath. That song has been stuck in my head the last couple of days, unironically. Like I'm not even. It's not a bit.
You're channeling
Like,
Gina.
I guess so. I just like my brain preempted it.
God, I need to remember how I did it. Let that be the matter. The end of the matter. Thank you for your custom, Mr. Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back.
I mean, it genuinely does fit him. So, This is why I ate grown-ups. Just because I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes me a liar.
In the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir. Here is the disc for you. Just this one? Pardon, sir. I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another.
Hmm?
Another disc. Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that was deposited with me. It was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you?
That's who? I don't know nothing about it. I don't know if it particularly matters, because I don't know if they can see it, but is your mouse visible to them?
It should not be. Yeah, it is definitely not.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Otherwise, Edgar would have had a very stylish pin on his hat.
Oh, on my screen it wasn't even on that part of the screen. Interesting.
Oh.
Very well.
Dojo pose.
Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style.
That disc is mine. Oh.
Ugh! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp?
Mm.
You've drawn blood, you filthy animal.
Oh my, yes, there's blood on the disc.
It's because of all the sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. He's wearing gloves.
I found it first, alright. I mean, it belonged to me old man. So you're not having it. Oh, you take it.
Me?
If I hang on to it, then you'll have me off. He'll have it off me again, so you keep all of it.
Mr. Strad, why is this disc so important to her? You there, in the black livery. Hand that disc to me at once, please.
No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups are all liars.
Ugh, what do I do now? How am I going to resolve this? Who should we talk to?
I mean, I have an emotional vested interest in Gina. So
Gina?
let's talk to her.
Wow, Miss Lestrade is really looking daggers at the mysterious gentleman. We need to do something to calm things down before she loses control and attacks him again. Oh, that's not it. Actually, do we have it in the court record? We do.
Those bumps are sharp.
Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny.
Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood.
Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Egbert Benedict.
Well, Mr. Strahd tried to grab the disc from him. The pin scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger.
Ouch, just thinking about it hurts. Puts me off eating radish.
Daikon radish. Pickled daikon?
I've not had pickle. Ooh.
Oh. Poor McGilded. Oh. Oh. There's a scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc. Look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like someone's name. For McGilded.
McGilded? It couldn't be.
But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live.
But why? Why is his name on this? Okay. So now, should we talk to Iger or Pop?
Let's talk to Mr. Windibank.
Pop Windibank. Mr. Windibank is clearly at a loss here. We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. For anybody who might be joining this stream for the first time and didn't watch the VODs or anything, but still wants to proceed, they're not referring to him like shooting people. It's for him like to off himself, because that's his instinctual reaction to every single adversity in life.
Yeah, his insurance policy to himself is that if anything goes wrong, he's just gonna pop himself, if you will.
I have no idea how he's made it like 40-something years through life.
Right? Oof. I've made so many oopsies in my life that it would have not been pretty. Okay. Edgar, if that is his real name.
Benedict, if that is not his real name. Look at those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. We have to do something quickly before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something.
And Gina look related.
Do they?
Like maybe because they're just both blonde haired, blue eyed, but they just kind of have like a very similar disposition.
That's everything we need to. We've talked to her again, maybe, now that we looked at the disc.
Well, we're examining. Do you have to converse?
I just thought that because when I went to move, it says,
are
you sure you asked
option.
everything?
Yeah.
You need to, Mr.
Is Herlock like in the corner?
Oh!
Yeah.
Of course, duh.
Nobody puts Herlock in the corner but himself.
Sometimes. What are you examining with such keen interest there? Are you enjoying a bar of caramel? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see.
Ooh, can I get a bar of caramel?
Or should I say caramel? I don't know how a Japanese man with a British accent would say it.
Caramel. Yeah, so it's caramel. Caramel. So you found you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo.
Sorry?
After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized, as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but I was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me.
This has gotta have been like 10-15 minutes. Jeez, Sholmes.
So, feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Well, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, the 7% solution of caramel.
Like, he goes beyond drama queen to, like, drama goddess levels. He's a drama deity.
Goddess. Drama Buddhist. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely.
Then why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know.
I love Herlock, I really do. I also really do just want a bar of caramel. Like, do they sell that still to this day? Because I will purchase a bar of caramel.
Go to a candy shop, you might be able to find it. Like,
Oh my god.
maybe not just a regular grocery store, but
It would be so good, just like, oh, and just caramel. Either way.
I can't have that much sugar anymore.
I know, right? I shouldn't either. I'm on a very strict diet. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered.
Oh my goodness. You really were sad, weren't you?
Poor Mr. Sholmes. I simply feel awful for you.
Why?
It would seem.
He doesn't have everybody's attention for like 5 minutes, and he like spirals into like the deepest depression.
He has a mental breakdown because people stop paying attention for him for 5 minutes. Then my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again? My dear madam, sometimes I wonder where my genius for deduction could be commoditized. How much could I pawn it for? That's the first thing that Herlock thinks about.
It's
Just pawning things off.
pawning his deduction skills.
Yeah.
It seems Mr. Sholmes.
I'll be able to get 2 jackets out of the pawn shop if I pawn off my deduction skills.
It seems Mr. Sholmes had another of his flashes of inspiration. But who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here?
Oh man. Oh man. Let's just leave it. Let's just leave it. I don't want to deal with it. Like, I don't trust him.
I don't know. If Mr. Sholmes starts on one of his wild rambling deductions now, it could just fan the flames of this argument. I think it would be sensible to try something else.
Mr. Naruhodo, what are you saying? The great detective has made one of his great deductions. He should cut straight to the heart of the matter.
That's what I'm worried about. We don't need any more cuts around here.
Dear me. You seem decidedly agitated. Clearly, I shall have to take the reins.
Okay, so it was a but thou must situation.
It would have been
Didn't matter.
so funny. Yes, please do, Mr. Sholmes.
Just like a bad ending there, just for saying no.
Yeah, just
Mr. Sholmes spirals deeper into a depression he never can claw out of, and the rest of the characters doesn't really matter. That's it.
Yeah, that's all that matters. What Herlock thinks about himself.
Looks like we're going to hear this deduction whether I like it or not.
Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. What in the blue blazes have you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, the true gent's supposed to be there for help straight away, not an hour later.
Harsh.
Hoo-ha.
And who, pray tell, are you?
Oh, he should have JoJo posed too. Mr. Eggert Benedict. You have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are 2 immovable conclusions I have drawn.
I beg your pardon.
The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime. A considerable I can't. A
Alliteration.
considerable crime is in contemplation. One you will orchestrate with the intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions?
How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg.
Technically, eggs Benedict are soft-boiled, but we don't have to get into it. It would seem that once again, Mr. Seamus made a flawless deduction.
So who do you think you are, sir?
Ah, yes, as I'd hoped. Hoo-ha! That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. It's all going according to Keikaku. Keikaku meets plan. So, shall we begin? That's for all my Death Note fans out there, the Death Note heads, if you will.
Heads.
The Death Heads. I think Death Heads are a little something else. The time has come for yet another of Sherlock Holmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. I committed to pronouncing it that way at the beginning of the game. I gotta continue.
I acknowledge your consistency.
First of all, we must ask ourselves, on what business you ventured to this prom brokery today? I didn't do my vocal warm-ups. You claim to have followed this pickpocketeer, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. Where did that come from? You didn't even have that in his hand. As real about that which you hold in your hand.
It was in his hand.
This is not a fair play. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is a staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop.
Advertisement?
Advertisement. That I feel like British people say they like that.
Do they?
Right? Sound off in the chat. Comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button.
I guess.
And put 1
I'm
for
sorry, everybody.
Advertisement and 2 for advertisement.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance had no need for such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. Did you just throw the piece of paper away? Oh, his staff also says AG. Haha. His name is Ags Genedict.
Ags Genedict, yeah. Exactly,
Okay.
figured it out.
Thank you.
He solved the entire
case.
case.
I'm such a good detective. The cane which you unwittingly clutch to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction.
What utter rot. I've had this cane for years.
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing Ferrule.
Obviously.
Obviously, nobody walks around with a lot of Ferrule. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal Ferrule to protect a wooden tip.
I just love though the camera was on that detail. And it's like, nope.
You gotta love this game for that. It's very consistent. Yes, please use your X-ray goggles. Yet detailed analysis shows a wooden tip of the stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Well, that's a question. Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. For the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle, mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod. It's a broken handle of a shovel.
It's a spade.
I was gonna say, Mr. Sholmes, that's technically a spade.
What? Are you insane?
This is clearly a spade. And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. That's not even a crime.
To dig under somebody else's property?
Well, to get a job. Oh, to dig under is the crime. Sure.
Yeah, to tunnel under the pawnbrokery.
Oh my god, we were still at topic 1? Sholmes, please. You're getting very verbose. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime that you have in the planning.
This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose? Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say?
Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped.
What?
Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter, to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewage works, beneath the shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road.
This madness has entered the sewers now, has it?
By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway. I love the show just ignores. It's just like, I'm in the middle of something. That flows in very close proximity to the great vaults of the financial institution opposite.
What are you?
In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels.
Master plan?
Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault at the bank?
Are you quite serious?
Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know.
A postcard of the Great Exhibition? I'm afraid you quite lost me.
Currently in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway. And the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank on the other side of the road.
Pardon?
Yes, a considerable crime you have been contemplating. It's the theft of that which sits in the vault of the bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please.
Top secret information.
Please keep it a secret. Though you would have known that already. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this palm-broking puzzle. Look, my dear boy, did somebody say puzzle?
Mr. Sholmes.
Mr. Naruto? An impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, wouldn't you agree?
Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault?
Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me in the strictest confidence. I don't know why Gregson would trust him at this point. But you just announced it to everyone here. Rather loudly, in fact.
And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? Shady says, well, if he wasn't planning to rob the bank before, he certainly is now.
I know, he's like, that really does sound like a good idea.
Also, hey there, Shady.
Yo, yo, yo. Howdy, howdy. There could be only one explanation for that. Clearly, it is because the man is a criminal.
How does that explain how he knows about it? Criminals just have clairvoyant knowledge?
But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he's a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret. Oh.
Well, if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Winterbank will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. On my life, I assure you, I'm not so unscrupulous.
Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them. Once the word is out, it's out.
Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes.
An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure.
Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape.
Very well then. Let us start once more from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular!
Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Okay. Well, obviously this is the same right now.
So is this canon that he's actually speaking these words again? Just he memorized his own logic spectacular.
I mean, I think it works however cross-examinations work. And I'm not entirely sure it's a game mechanic, first and foremost.
Space. That's you.
Oh, why did I think the arrow was pointing the other way? There's so much going on in the picture. So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor.
Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he?
No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is where. What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? So there's this stylish hat,
Yeah.
cane, his staff recruitment flyer,
Oh, look at the
scribbled
little doodle.
writing. I think that's everything.
It's a scribbled writing.
I think it is.
That looks like a little Gina Bobina, banana nana Fofina.
Nope.
Oh,
His notes are scrawled by someone famous and as such are worth a considerable sum of money. The fact that you handle the paper on which they are written with gloves only proves my theory. So you came here today with the intention of pawning it for as much as the broker would give you.
that deduction was wanting in every way.
Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it.
I find myself wanting to never have heard it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact.
Oh, sorry. I'll try again.
How is that even fair, Herlog? Your reasonings are worse. Ugh. I still don't quite understand why you might have blah blah blah.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was the same. He must look like a smartly dressed man about town. Perhaps he's destitute, really. I really think that's the only explanation.
We must stop to think along those lines. We must stop thinking along those lines, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, I suppose you're right. Well, in that case, perhaps there's something in this pawn shop the man was looking for.
Let's look closely and see if there's anything about his person that will give us a clue. So is it the cane?
Well, remember, we
cane
could
is-
examine stuff, too.
Let's examine the scribbled writings.
Because Naruhodo will just assume what they are if he doesn't know what they are. All he knew was a scribbled writing.
Oh. Look at all that scribbled notes in the back of the flyer here.
I don't believe it.
What is it?
Listen to what it says. Name Gina Lestrade, height 5'2". Green caps, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. If you read
Yes.
that, okay. It's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure.
And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windybank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street, redemption deadline 15th April.
Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of that piece of paper?
I guess so.
Helps to read it. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade.
It's so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket, Miss Lestrade, and to Mr. Windybank's pawnbrokery here.
Ah! You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you.
But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie.
It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windybank's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat.
So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive.
Humph!
You've gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane of which you immediately clutched to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction.
Without a rat, I've had this cane for years.
This is back to stuff we said before.
Yep. What's a ferrule?
It's the metal cap company found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo.
Ah, the bit that makes a nice clacking sound in the pavement.
Yes, exactly. And Mr. Jones is right. It appears to be missing on this cane.
But it doesn't actually look broken, does it?
No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Jones identified the cane as suspicious.
In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. Some stylish hat, still.
There's something about the cane that we should know.
Initialing.
It's the hat.
Missing for rule.
Is there always three things?
There was 4 things, I think, before.
It's the initialing, but like, do we have to like inspect it, or can we just pick it?
That's up for you to decide if
Let's
you think that's enough.
it.
Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to. Oh,
it's
sorry.
fine. I
I keep getting those two. I keep getting those 2 buttons confused. For the contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing.
Most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet, in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed. Would you not agree?
No, you're wrong. This cane isn't. You said before that you've had that cane for years. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park.
In short... I closed Discord. Give me a second.
Oh no!
I minimized it. I didn't close it, I minimized it. Let me move the mouse.
I mean, if you closed it, I don't know how I'd hear you, so...
Yeah. Though you hold yourself to be quite a gentleman, you've withheld your true name. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? I've already said this too.
I...
And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see?
Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Mr. Strayed redeemed that fine-looking overcoat. And now a mysterious man has appeared and introduced himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him.
But we know that he actually identified Mrs. Strahd from a written description, which suggests that everything he's told us is untrue.
So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Well, there's the stylish hat, the handle,
oh, the tear in the
the
overcoat.
split seam.
So it doesn't fit him.
Yeah, there was a tearing sound every time he recoiled.
Oh.
Not sure if he picked it up.
I did not. I thought it was just aesthetic for the game. So yeah, it's a split. Present it.
The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understand this riddle, you see. Ah!
Because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit.
Having forced over your broad shoulders, the scam is already breaking apart. The seam is already breaking apart.
What'd you say, the scam?
The scam, I thought that was a C.
No, that's fair. I like it.
His scam's falling apart.
Yeah, it's a Freudian slip. I like it. My suspicions were aroused from the onset. When you so badly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket.
Baldly lied, but close.
What'd I say?
Badly.
Badly? Oh. We're
Ugh.
both just like saying the wrong words right now.
It's fine. Close enough.
This cantaloupe of untruth has been for one very specific purpose.
Yeah, that one was on purpose.
Yeah, that was.
Though that would exactly be the type of way he'd talk, the cantaloupe of untruth.
He would call it a cantaloupe of untruth. You're so right. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Winterbank.
Ugh.
So dramatic. I think him and Herlock are related. But what really irks me is this.
Is drama genetic?
I mean, pointing out contradictions is.
Yeah,
The
but that makes
considerable
sense.
crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. Which is long form of, I was wrong. I apologize. To be fair, I don't think Herlock would apologize. Just be, oh, I was wrong. Too bad. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue.
I feel like you said my apologies to stuff before.
For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you've been planning.
This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, deigned to wheeze to... designed to... You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage. God, that was
That's
hard to
just
read.
like, I don't think you can combine those words in American English. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? Ne sais pas. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said it right. Good job. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you're only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, your furtive glance is more telling than I would have hoped.
What?
Let's consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. Methods revealed by the council. Notice of the content which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think.
Yes, now we're talking of tunneling into the sewers. Which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword.
Yes, Professor. You didn't know that word. Oh, sorry.
That was the word.
Yeah, yes, Professor. I thought she was calling Rianovsky Professor. I'm like, I don't know the context, but I'm just gonna roll with it.
Listen, you don't know the relationship.
I know, right? Sensei? It's now suddenly Sensei. If you didn't know the word, Mr. Winterback would never allow you to redeem the article.
Well, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Winterbank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow?
Yeah, it's on the book.
Council notice, notelet, pawnbroker's revolver,
Can you inspect the notelet, please? Oh, the picture of the cat!
old lamp.
The picture of the cat!
I can't click the picture of the cat. The
Can you
notelet?
inspect it. Don't note it.
Look at this, Mr. Zato.
Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Winterback had scribbled to himself.
Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Oh,
Professor.
that is me.
No, it's you.
Oh, Professor. Mr. Winterbank must make a note of his watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. In an alarmingly clear script as well.
Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? I think she's excited about it. She's like, ooh,
Okay.
secrets. I guess, yeah, present the notelet. That wasn't necessary. But I feel like that's a bigger leap of logic than what I did earlier.
What is?
To not inspect the notelet for Ryonosuke to just know, as opposed to like the scribbles.
I don't know. The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which ours were inadvertently drawn.
Yet, broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question.
I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about?
It's increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusation against Mr. Strahd.
In all likelihood, he followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Windibank.
But the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice.
He observed him writing the word professor on the notelet beside the ledger.
That's, what was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade?
Master plan?
Brings us, at last, to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker?
Are you quite serious?
For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music disc. But naturally, you had a very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know.
The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets.
Which, according to Mr. Winterback, isn't even worth a penny.
And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why?
Wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo.
We have 2 pieces of evidence! Could we? Really? Better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. All the evidence? We have our normal band and the music box disc.
I didn't know you could present evidence in course corrections.
It opened this up only if it's like.
Oh, even if specifically would have to tell you to do it.
Yeah, it's done that before in course corrections, but
you see, this armband, this music box disc.
Present it.
Yeah.
You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back?
It reads for McGilted.
Okay.
Mr. Magnus McGilted. I'm a ghost now. The unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate?
Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for the overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Ugh.
Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Egbert Benedict. The final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was
to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Ugh.
Ba-da-da-ba-da-bum.
Deduction complete. Elementary.
Well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I'd expect to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Mr. Zotto. Well, according to what Mr. Winterbank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the Overcooked could have been redeemed, was it not?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited.
Well, today's 15th of April, so 2 months ago today.
Would have been 15th of February, sir, that's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see.
What? But that suggests...
Yes, 15th February. It's precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely at the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence.
You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. It would be terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. Ugh, what do I do?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not?
Absolutely not.
Okay, Naruto dies. The end. There's some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not. Mr. Winterbank.
This is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come by my customers if that were to happen.
Oh my god, please.
I should have to take my own life.
Mr. Winterbank, no. Alright, that's enough.
It's Mr. Ship and Fish and Chips.
Inspector Gregson.
Chip and Fish.
Inspector?
That's right, Sunshine. The alarm is raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now what's all this about, eh? Well, praise be, you're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life in my very own establishment.
Yikes.
It would seem you have the upper hand.
Right, Eli has some explaining to do. I appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy.
Petty? Mr. Winterbank's nearly met his end.
Yeah, by his own gun, as far as I can tell. Oh dear. And the whole Britain can meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on.
What? What on earth is the case, Inspector?
No details, Gregson.
I missed a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station.
But of course, Inspector.
Ah! He's getting away! Get after him, lads. Whistle the best officer, too.
Sir!
There's been a spat of thieves at the pawn shops around here recently. So we fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters of brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in mourning.
Oh, yes?
I'll be taking that whatever it is at McGilden's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
Oh, yes, of course.
No, don't! Don't give it to him! It's mine to his! Mine!
I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilden has to be taken in as evidence now.
His evidence?
Police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow. We have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. Ah.
And so we handed Mr. McGilden's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and were summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. By the way, I do want to congratulate you for completing the final great deduction of the game.
Ba-da-ba, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba.
To be continued.
We
got through part 1, and as far as we know, there's still no case that we're dealing with.
It just ends on a wet fart. Just like, and so our story ends.